In this lesson, we're going to see how to control video playback programmatically by using JavaScript. So the test page is called scriptvideo.html. I'll show you that in a moment. I have a PNG that displays while the video is loading, and then in the My Videos folder, I have a series of videos in different formats. Okay, so I'm going to use Chrome for the example. You could use other browsers if you want to. The idea in this example is that it will programmatically create video elements every time I click the load button, and it'll play them, pause, rewind, fast forward, increase volume and decrease volume using these buttons here. So I haven't actually defined any video elements initially. I create them programmatically and I configure them using script, and I call methods upon the video objects to play them back, rewind and so on. So when I click the load button, first of all, it's going to load swanseabay.mov from the My Videos folder. So I'll click load. So while that's playing, I can load another one. I click load there. So it's now created two video elements and started playing both of them. I store the video elements in an array, and every time I click one of these buttons, it performs all the operations on each video element in the array. Basically, I have a loop that will call the pause method on each video object. When I click play again, pause, I can restart. When I click the restart button, it goes to the start of the movie for each one, and also resets the volume and the playback rate. So we're back to the beginning. If I click play again, now they're both playing in tandem. I can go faster. Also, I could be able to click the rewind button to go backwards. Chrome doesn't support that, unfortunately. Some browsers do. For example, Safari. I can increase the volume and decrease the volume to make it louder or quieter. And as you can see, at the moment the volume is about 75%. If I increase the volume's gone up. If I decrease the volume's gone down. I'll pause, go back to the beginning again, start playing again. So that gives you a fairly good idea. You'll notice a couple of things doing the example there. When the video is created, it automatically starts playing as soon as it's loaded. And you might have also noticed that it loops, so that when the video finishes, it restarts again. So I've set those properties programmatically on my video objects to do that. It's not the default behavior. So let's take a look at the code. So the code is scriptvideo.html in your project files folder. I've defined some styles initially, and I'll come back to that later on. Let me just take you to the bottom of the page to show you what the markup looks like. So we have a text box where you can enter the name of the directory, and a text box where you can enter the name of the file. And I've got some defaults in there just to make my typing a bit easier in the demo. And then we have all the different buttons that load the video, pause, play, go to the beginning, rewind, and so on. Also, the videos themselves are actually displayed in an unordered list. So it might not have looked like it, but we have an unordered list here, and each video object is an item in the list. Now I've achieved that by using some styles. So let me take you back to the top of the page and show you what the styles look like. So I have some simple styles on the buttons, just to make the buttons look nice. On the video, each video has a certain width and height, and a margin, so that the videos don't sit right next to each other. I've got a border and a border radius, and a box shadow, just to make them look nice on the screen. And then the unordered list and ordered lists, I've set those up so that they won't show any bullet points. And I've also set up each list item so it displays in line. So in other words, the list items, which in this case are the videos, display horizontally as opposed to displaying vertically like you'd normally get in a list. Right, so let's go back into the code and see how to programmatically control how videos actually work. So I have a global variable here which will hold an array of video objects. every time the user clicks the load button, that's this one here, it'll create a new video and add it to the array. So we create a new video object, new video HTML element, like that. We set its source property to be a combination of the directory name plus the file name. So for example, it'll be myvideos/swanseabay.webm. And then we set some properties. Now normally, you can either set these programmatically in script, or you can set them on the actual video tag if you wanted to pre-code it. So I'm programmatically saying that each video will loop, it'll automatically start playing, and it will show the controls at the bottom of each video. I've also set up a poster property here, just in case the videos take a while to load. This PNG will display in the interim period. So that's my video element, and then I just add it to the list item, and add the list item into the video list. The unordered list at the bottom of the page, let me just remind you what that looks like, down the bottom here. The unordered list that will display all the videos is called video list, and I add my new video into that list here. And then finally, we add the video into the array so that we can programmatically loop through to play and pause and rewind each one. Let me just remind you of the user interface. We have a play button, a pause button, a button that takes us back to the start, a rewind button, a fast forward button, and then buttons to decrease and increase the volume. So I'm going to take a look at the event handlers for those buttons now. The play button loops through all the videos in the array, and each video object has a play method. So that will start the videos playing, and then likewise, the pause function will pause each video, so the video object also has a pause function. The restart button, that's this one here, takes me back to the start of the video, and in order to achieve that, what you do is you set the current time property. The current time property is a live property. It'll tell you where you're at the moment in the video. By setting it back to 0, then effectively you're going back to the start of the video. Also, when I was writing the demo, I found that to avoid confusion, when you restart the video, it probably makes sense to set the playback rate to 1. The playback rate of 1.0 means play at the normal rate. If you want to play faster than that, then you set the value to be greater than 1. If you want to play backwards in time, then you can actually set a negative value. So a playback rate of 1.0 means start playing at the normal rate when it's playing, and likewise a volume of 1 means playback at the full rate. You can change that later on by clicking the buttons. When we click the fast forward button, then it sets the playback rate to be 3, so it's going to play back 3 times faster. Likewise, when we click the rewind button, here I've set the playback rate to be -3, so that means it'll rewind at 3 times the normal speed. Now unfortunately Chrome doesn't support that yet. If you tried this in Safari, for example, then the video would play back now at 3 times the normal rate. And the last things to look at are the volume controls. The volume ranges from 0 to 1. So if you want to increase the volume, here I'm increasing the volume effectively by 25%. And here I'm decreasing the volume of each one by 25% using the volume property. So that's the end of the lesson. We've seen a few things. I'll just recap the important points. You can create video elements dynamically, just like you'd create any other element in a document, like so, document create element. Once you've got your video element, you can then set various properties on it to configure how it's going to look and how it's going to behave. And then the video object has a series of methods such as play and pause, and then a series of properties such as current time, playback rate and volume, which give you full control over how the video is played back to the user without actually having the video element directly hard-coded in your web page.